Sedition is one of the trending top search terms on Google right now. And with all of the craziness that is going on in Washington, D.C. right now, that's no surprise. In this video, I'm going to explain exactly what the word means. It's a legal term of art, but I'm going to break it down in plain English for you. Before we get into that though, I want to invite you to hit that subscribe button below and turn the bell notification icon on so that you don't miss any of my other videos. I make videos about law and current events and everything in the news, and I break it down into plain English for you. So with that out of the way, let's get straight into the video now. Sedition, as defined by Black's Law Dictionary, I'm going to pull up the definition right here of sedition. I've got it marked. It says sedition is an agreement, communication, or preliminary activity aimed at inciting treason or some lesser commotion against public authority. The second definition here is advocacy aimed at inciting or producing, and also likely to incite and produce, imminent lawless action. So that's the dictionary definition of that word. Now let's talk about the legal definition. Federal law makes it a crime to engage in a seditious conspiracy, which involves the use of force to thwart the execution of the laws of the United States. So this law is found in 18 United States Code, section 2384. It makes it a crime for two or more people to conspire, to plan, to overthrow using force the United States government, to use force to oppose the authority of the United States government, to use force to prevent, hinder, or delay the execution of any law of the United States. For example, the Electoral College casting their votes and electing the next president, and the use of force to seize, take, or possess any property of the United States contrary to the authority thereof. The key to this statute is the use of force. There's got to be a plan to use force to accomplish the conspiracy, otherwise we don't have a crime. And that's the main reason why we don't see this statute prosecuted very often these days. That was not always the case in the United States, however. There was an old statute, another statute that is no longer a law, called the Alien and Sedition Acts of 1798. In 1798, President Adams signed the Alien and Sedition Act into law. The Sedition Act basically made it a crime to criticize or express a negative opinion towards the United States government or any of its elected officials. The U.S. government prosecuted many people for expressing negative opinions about the government or its officials. One famous example of that was James Thompson Callender, who published a book called The Prospect Before Us, in which he called the Adams administration a continual tempest of malignant passions, and President Adams a repulsive pedant, a gross hypocrite, and an unprincipled oppressor. Despite having Vice President Thomas Jefferson read and approve the book before publishing it, Callender was convicted of sedition under this statute and sentenced to 9 months in jail. Now, the Alien and Sedition Acts of 1798 were very unpopular. They sparked protests across the country, and eventually they were allowed to expire by Congress. The Sedition Act expired in 1800, and President Jefferson, Thomas Jefferson, who had taken office at that point, basically allowed those who were still serving prison sentences a pardon and released them from jail. Congress also made things right later on by paying back the fines and fees that were paid by people who were convicted under that statute. So after that, though, we did see one more general, broad, sweeping Sedition Act law. In 1918, President Woodrow Wilson signed the Sedition Act of 1918 into law. This act made it a crime to use disloyal, profane, scurrilous, or abusive language about the U.S. government, its flag, or its armed forces, or that caused others to view the U.S. government with contempt. Those convicted of this crime generally faced prison sentences between 5 and 20 years. Now, as part of a sweeping repeal of wartime laws, Congress repealed the Sedition Act of 1918 in December of 1920. So this was still on the books for 2 years. Now, in case you were wondering, the Supreme Court has never directly resolved a case challenging the constitutionality of those sedition laws. But many believe that today, if a law like that was passed by Congress, it would quickly be stricken down in the Supreme Court as unconstitutional, as an unconstitutional infringement on our right to free speech under the First Amendment. So that's all I've got for you today about the Sedition Act. Now you know exactly what that term means and how it applies in the context of a criminal prosecution for seditious conspiracy. So if you like this video, let me know by giving it a like, and don't forget to subscribe if you have not done so already, and hit that bell notification icon so you don't miss any of my new videos about law, current events, and stimulus checks. I make a lot of those videos as well. So as always, thank you for watching.